I'm going to begin by adding a background tile map. Not background tile map, but tile map that I will call background tile map, and then I will decide to change it to use the same tiles. Then I decided, maybe I should change the colour so it would look a little bit different. Yep, that colour seems about right. I then want to start putting in those tiles, and I forgot to change the tile size, so I went and changed that. Now I'll put them along. You can't actually see what I'm doing because they're putting those tiles behind the other tiles, but I fix that up later. Here you can see I'm just going to start shooting it. Oh, whoops. Fix that up. No, there should be no collision on these tiles. So when I finally find the thing to turn off, how about this use parent? Yep, that worked. That did exactly what I wanted. I'm not sure if that's what it's meant for, because we have a little exclamation now. I added a few more just to have a bit of fun with it, and none there. So let's move on by, yeah, what does this mean? Nothing important. Let's just keep going. Let's colour in the whole thing. Yeah, this is taking a time. Let's try fill. Fill only seems to work for the areas that you've done, so let's try a few more. No, I've got a really long map in here, so I'm just gonna go all the way along. Oh, that one took a little while to fill in, and I need to do this way as well. And done. At the bottom, missed a couple of pixels. That looks like it's fine now. Run again, and yes, showing my sliding ability there, and it looks like now I have a background tile map. So what's next? I think I'll add some grenades. So grenades are going to have the ability to blow up big areas of the tile map. I have to find an image for this as well. I want it to be a rigid body. Add grenade. Call it grenade. Collision. Yes. Had to go find an image. Put a sprite in, and we grab our. Oh, I don't have a sprite. Go find one. There's the one we want to use. That's from a humble bundle there. Grab that into there, and instead of selecting, I'm going to drag it over. There we go. Okay, got my sprite in there. Now I'll set the collision. Collision's behind. I'll just put that in front, and that looks about right. Yep. So now I'll go over here and I'll zoom into my character and I'll put it in there. Oh, it's about as big as character is, so I'm going to change the scale here. Try 0.5. Oh, that didn't update anything there. I guess I have to do it here separately. Yep. It's a weird bug there. It won't allow me to actually change the secondary value. So I'll change it here instead, and I'll delete it and I'll add it back in. Yeah, that's right. Oh, but okay, yep, can't do that. Instead of doing that, I have to change the transform scale of the image and then change the collision box to conform to that. Okay. Now I've got that done. That's the right size. Cool. Done. Next, let's see, I should throw this grenade around, I guess. We want to have a secondary fire here. It's fire 2. Oh, I don't actually have a fire 2. I'll go add fire 2. Yep. And I guess we now need to throw it. Let's throw it. Create a new grenade. instance of the grenade. What's this? Doesn't matter. I don't think I need it. Position, set it to our position. Set the velocity. For some it took me a while to figure out why this wasn't working, and it's because I've named it grenade instead of new grenade. So in a second I figure that out. After typing all of this out and seeing that it's still coming up with an error, I also tried ternaries here, which is the wrong definition of how you do the ternary, but I'll fix that up later as well. So new grenade, set our axis there, cool, and we want to set a velocity for throwing the grenade, and it's supposed to say if you're facing right then do velocity x, but if you're not then do negative velocity x. But that's the wrong way of doing a ternary. Ternary should be velocity x if facing right, else negative velocity of x, and that's what I fix up later. And that's why you can see that it's just thrown it in the air, which I was a little confused about. But first thing I decided to do, instead of figuring out and fixing the problem, was say I'm going to change it to a kinematic body instead of a rigid body. So come over to here. We want it to be, when I finally find the thing, we want it to be a script, and it's a kinematic body instead. And now I'm going to make it so I control the physics of it rather than it being controlled by a rigid body. So I'm just grabbing some of the stuff from player because it's going to have the same sort of physics as player. And I'll just put that functionality in here. I probably could have just stuck with a rigid body, and in fact I might even move back to a rigid body later, because I don't really need to control the physics of this. So just setting up a motion now for it, and again I'm using the wrong algorithm there, because it should have that ternary switched around. So a problem moving from C# to GD script is I consider a ternary to work one way and then it works a different way. Yeah, I'm just removing a few things, and yeah, I throw it up and it just bounces on the spot, so that's not what I want. Let's try to fix that up. So here again I've decided, oh, I'll set the X thing, but that didn't change anything because I've still got the ternary wrong. And so here I decided I'll fix up the ternary, but I didn't know how to write it, so I went and googled how to do a ternary in GD script, and then I fix it up. And that's the correct way of doing the ternary. And now it just throws it a really long way, so I go back and I change that speed again. So now it throws it about right and it just bounces around. So what I do instead is I want to make it not bounce as much. So I reduce the bounce. Every time it bounces I reduce the motion. Tried to half it and that wasn't good, so let's multiply it by 0.8. That's a bit better, but I think I need to throw it further, so let's just double that. That's about right. So now I want to save that. I want to make that a constant instead so I can change it later. I don't know what to name it, so I've just gone and named it bounce carry momentum. Set an explode time on it. I need to keep how long it's currently been alive for. And I made damage amount 150 as a variant, but I'm going to change that to a constant later. Go through starting it off. So I don't want this one to be on physics, I was just doing this on every frame tick instead, and after it explodes it just disappears. And it disappeared. But of course I moved the mouse over it, so I was a little confused there. I actually want to see it, so I did it again. Now I decide I want the camera to shake when the explosion happens. So I made a world script, and I can call the world script to tell it to create an explosion, and it can then shake the camera when an explosion happens. And the reason I've got a create explosion function rather than just telling it to shake the camera is because I want the explosion to also destroy tiles. So I'll add that functionality later. And I went to do a camera shake, but camera shake isn't a function. There was a function that I'd used another time, so I went and grabbed that off another project and I started typing it in here. There we go, duration, frequency and amplitude. Define a few variables up the top. I should go and find where I got this script from so I can link it in the video. I'm going to tell it that we want it to start processing immediately, because the process is going to tell it to shake if there's a timeout for it. Here I'm just setting the ranges for the shake, so it goes from -1 to 1 multiplied by the amplitude. And last shook timer is so that it doesn't shake every frame, so it'll shake on the frequency amount. I've got to work out what I'm going to do further to this project. The idea is something a bit like a Broforce game, because I liked the destructive environment, and so that's why I allowed tiles to be destroyed. One of the things I guess needs to be added is different damage amounts for the tiles, so I'll be implementing that later. At the moment, every tile will just be destroyed by one attack, but I'll put damage amounts on different tiles, so dirt might damage easier than rock. Rock might take a few more bangs for it to be destroyed. And what have we got here? When I throw a grenade now, it explodes, and oh, it doesn't do anything because I forgot to link it up. So I go through and I find where I need to put that. I tell it to create the explosion, and I run it again. And now, shaking screen, perfect. Throw a few grenades everywhere just to play around with it, and we love the shaking screen. I think every good 2D game needs a good camera shake now, doesn't it? So now I want to make it destroy tiles at a given location based on the radius of the explosion. So I start defining a few variables up there, a few constants up the top to define the radius, and I do put a damage amount in there, but that won't be used just yet, and then I go and fix the constant names up because I didn't like using the entire name there. I now put that position, damage and radius in here, and then I want to define a script for how it will get rid of the tiles. So the first thing I do is I get all of the tiles around the location for the whole damage area, which is a square tile list. But then using that tile list I work out if a tile is within the radius given, and if it is, it gets added to the tile list. So here, just get a square collection of tiles, given the radius as a and then I want to find out, is it within the distance, the radius. So just a bit of trig. And if it is, yeah, I decided I'll make a tile size something to find at the top rather than it being in here, and then append to the list of tiles, which I forgot to define at the top. So now, given that tile list, I'll go through the tile list, and I'm just going to tell it to set the tile to nothing right now. And so when I now throw a grenade, it explodes a massive portion of the map. And I'm just going to throw another grenade. I'll jump down the hole I just threw the grenade, and there's a big hole that it makes. But I can't quite see this massive hole that it makes on the screen, so I decided to change the zoom level. So I should be able to see it a bit better now. Let's jump off the edge here and throw a grenade. And let's jump down that hole. Yeah, it's good, I guess, but I think that's a little bit too big. Yeah, it's a little bit too big. So I decided I'll reduce the size, and let's try again. Throw a grenade off here, and we'll jump down, and yeah, that's probably a little bit more like what I want. So this would be great for airstrikes and things like that. And that's all I have to show today. If you'd like to see anything more, let me know, add comments. Thank you very much. Bye.